Broadcasting from the heart of the Colorado Rockies, it's 4th and 99 with your hosts, David Slade, Keith Brookman, and Matt Stappiero. Now let's talk football here on 4th and 99.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 4th and 99 here on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. As usual, we have a great show planned for tonight. I'm your host, David Slade, and with me tonight, as usual, Keith Brugman and Matt Staffiero will be out for a couple weeks, so getting some much-deserved rest and relaxation.
Yeah, take care, man. Enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. Keith and I will try to hold down the fort. So, Keith, how you doing?
You know, it's funny. We talked just before the show. We usually have different ends of the spectrum. It seems like we're always talking about weather as soon as we get on. But
right.
Finally, we're like on the same page. I shoveled twice yesterday. Today was a high of about 8 degrees. Started off about -12 this morning. So, you know, it sounds like you guys are in a very similar situation.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's like I mentioned to you, it started snowing at my house around 3 yesterday. Not super heavy at that point, but about 5 o'clock it just really started coming down heavily, and then it snowed pretty heavy. Probably woke up this morning there probably about 6 inches, and then it snowed today, but it hasn't been heavy, but it's probably accumulated a couple more inches throughout the day. So luckily I took today off of work and I was able to shovel the driveway and everything else. So like I told you, my snowblower's been sitting in the repair shop since July. So my wife's like, we're going to buy a new one. I'm like, no, we're not buying a new one. I'll shovel it. So
welcome to the world of delayed parts, and good luck on trying to get servicing. You know, it's the way of the world as it sits right now. So
right, definitely. So well, a lot has happened since we spoke last week. I mean, last week we were sitting here, we were trying to figure out who the coaches were going to be, who we wanted the coach to be. And lo and behold, it's Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, are you okay with that?
I'm fairly okay with it. You know, the biggest thing for me was, again, I didn't want to get rid of Vic Fangio and then bring in a defensive-minded coach. I don't care if it was Dan Quinn or Gerard Mayo or who, you know, Brian Flores. But you know, I didn't want to bring in somebody that just was a replacement and hoping that he would be a little bit better with the guys and maybe better with the challenge flag. And you know, it just didn't make sense to me. I wanted us to propel forward. You know, we've been waiting for that to happen. Mahomes came into the league how many years now? He's what 3 years, 4 years in the league now?
No, is it 5 or 6?
Oh my gosh. You know, think about that. I mean,
because his first year he sat.
Yeah.
And then he's been in the last 4 AFC championship games.
So that's 5, yeah.
So maybe 1 year where, wow.
Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's amazing how time flies. That being said, you go all the way back, and Patrick Mahomes was supposed to be that guy that was going to be. He changed how the NFL played. You know, he changed what a quarterback looked like on the field.
Right.
And the Broncos had stayed stagnant. I think we need something offensively in order to get this thing moving. And so I want an offensive-minded coach. Was he my number one pick? No, I really like Callahan. He happens to be going to the Super Bowl right now. I really liked O'Connell. He happens to be going to the Super Bowl right now. But Brian Hackett's not a bad third on my list. Obviously, hopefully first on the Broncos list.
No, I understand. And I agree. I mean, he wasn't, you know, my first choice. My first choice is Callahan, you know. And on the 3 that were on the list between Hackett, Quinn, and O'Connell, I wanted O'Connell. But I'm feeling more comfortable with Hackett, especially after his press conference, you know, and just the excitement and everything else. It's is definitely night and day than when Mr. Personality was up there,
Oh yeah. Oh my
So,
goodness. Yeah.
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 So it definitely is. I mean, I'm looking forward to see what he can do. He's starting to put his coaching staff into place, at least on the offensive side of the ball. So,
It's like you said, it's kind of amazing. Last time we talked, we didn't have a head coach. Now all of a sudden we went through, okay, maybe this wasn't our guy. Me and Dave both wanted different guys, to all of a sudden kind of processing, seeing the interviews, seeing his press conference, maybe researching him a little bit more and more in depth. And also now we're okay with it. Now he's got offensive staff in place. Sounds like he has his defensive coordinator ready to be named, but can't quite do it as of yet. So, I mean, it's amazing all the things that have been happening, let alone some of the outlying things on top of it.
right.
We can maybe hit those too. Jeez.
Yeah. So Justin Outen, former tight end coach of Green Bay, is the, I guess, de facto offensive coordinator. Nathaniel Hackett is going to call the plays. So I think that Outen will just be, involved in the game planning and things like that. Probably helping to script the first 15 plays of the first half and the first 15 coming out of the locker room in the second half. So,
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned. He's only been a coach for like 3 years. Does that concern you at all?
It does. It's a lot of pressure, I mean, 2016, he comes into the league as a coaching intern with the Atlanta Falcons. Wasn't an offensive assistant coach in 17 and 18 for the Falcons before jumping over in 19 until current tight ends coach with the Green Bay Packers. So, obviously, I don't know their tie. I don't know where he picked this name from or what made that decision. I had to dig a little bit deeper into that. Like I said, everything's been spinning and coming so fast. Does come from a great system, though. Obviously, I don't care if you're talking about the Falcons or the Packers. You're talking about places that have been able to put up some
Yeah, I
great.
mean, they've been good offensive football teams. So
Yeah. So hopefully he can learn quick, and maybe that's what he's known for. But it sounds like he's rose that tree obviously pretty quick. Coaching
Right.
intern in 2016. Now going to be your offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos come 2022. So
yeah, and then the next one is QB coach and passing game coordinator, and everybody will recognize this name. At least the last name is Clint Kubiak. I mean, last year was the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, was let go with that staff. So do you think that this is someone that Outen can lean on a little bit for, hey, man, I'm new at this. Help me out here.
Yeah. It does look that way, right? I mean, look, now you flip to the other side, and here's a guy that's been in the league since 2013 and grown his way through the Vikings and the Broncos franchises all the way up to offensive coordinator. Certainly has already held that quarterback coach position before. So a great place of strength, and maybe that is the kind of the crutch that they wanted to put in place for Outen. So
right. And then the next offensive hire that we know, it's Butch Berry. He's going to be the offensive line coach. He's the former 49ers assistant offensive line coach. So Munchak is out. Does that concern you that Munchak's out?
A little bit. Let's face it, he's done well with this group. He's been able to take care of Bowles and take him from a kind of a problem on the field and off the field to someone who seems like he's focused and he's going to, has the ability to make Pro Bowls. So it's tough when you lose a coach that's what he brought to the table. I'll be honest, I was a little bit concerned about Mike Munchak coming to the Denver Broncos. I thought it was just a family move only.
Right.
He said that, that was a big influence for him to come to the Broncos and to take over as just an offensive line coach. But I didn't want him just to be here as a face only and be kind of checked out with the family stuff. I think he proved just the opposite. So I think it is a little bit of I guess a painful point, in all this coaching change.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's not like Munchak is just stepping down either. I mean, he has other opportunities that he's talking about, and he'll probably wind up in coaching. Do you think maybe Hackett didn't want a former head coach looking over his shoulder as well? And is Hackett just saying, "This is my staff. I'm going to put my stamp on it"?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't going to stick around for an offensive line coach with the Denver Broncos when the rest of the staff was all let go. Probably not. He was probably looking for something at least to upgrade. He's done well in his position. I don't see a place for him above where he's at, unless you're truly just handing the reins to him as a honestly, as a head coach. He's been there before, so
Right.
I think it makes sense for both parties. It's just unfortunate, like I said. Great coach. Hopefully, the lessons learned by the players in place can continue on. So,
Yeah, most definitely. So we'll see how that goes. All right, this next subject.
hey, I just want to one last subject. It's
Okay.
supposedly, and I'm going to slaughter this name because I haven't even looked at it. Evero.
Yeah, Evero easy.
Ezero Evero,
Right.
I believe. So,
Yeah.
supposedly are going to be our defensive coordinator, right? So,
Yes.
um, but sitting on the outside as the Rams are headed to the Super Bowl. So, currently a defensive passing game coordinator / secondary coach for the Los Angeles Rams. So,
Yeah, and him and Hackett have a friendship that goes back. Um, I believe they were at UC Davis together, is where they first
oh
crossed paths.
wow,
So I think this relationship goes back a way. So, and Hackett apparently speaks highly of this guy and respects him. So if he can really, and I think it's good to get a young guy in here and try to work with this young defensive core that we have.
you know what's really funny? I just want to read you his resume. Okay, I don't know if
Okay.
you've looked at it all. 2007, he comes in Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive quality control coach. Flips over to the San Francisco 49ers in 2011 as a quality control coach, and then ends up being their offensive assistant coach for 2012 and 13 before going over to their defensive assistant coach. End up getting on with the Green Bay Packers in 2016, end up going over to the Rams in 2018 to current, or I'm sorry, 2017 to current. So, not very many guys that you see flip from a defense to offense to defense.
Right.
And really, I really like that idea and that mindset that he sees both sides of the field.
Yeah, it definitely will help as a defensive coordinator, to really have that understanding of what the other side is thinking, and things like that. So,
Mm.
excuse me. Yeah, I like the young coach movement that we're seeing here. I mean, we've tried the old guys, and I mean, we had Fangio, we had Shermer, we had all the retreads coming through, and
Mm-hmm.
I sort of like this approach. I mean, and we'll see if it pays off, but I like the energy that we see so far from Hackett.
Yep.
It'll be nice to, hear from these offensive coaches that he's hiring, what their thoughts are, what their philosophies are. As soon
Mm.
as we start getting, get the defensive coordinator in place and then start filling in some holes with some of the defensive guys as well. So, boy, it's a lot to happen, and well, you figure tag season starts on the 22nd, so
Yeah.
less than 3 weeks away, and then we have then your free agency starts, I think, like March 16th or something. So
Hmm.
it's coming quick, about 6 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
So
Think
and,
it,
the,
I
and
just
then
want
the
to say this
draft.
really, and I just want to say this really quick. Aaron Rodgers said he wants to have everything figured out before franchise tags and free agency opens up.
Yes, he said he wants to be able to do that, so Green Bay will know what his plans are, and then that way they can decide how they want to handle Devontae Adams, because
Yeah.
it sounds like Devontae may get the tag up there. And I was
Ooh.
looking at the tag salaries, and for wide receivers, it's 18.5 million.
Honestly, it doesn't make sense.
No,
They're
Devontae Adams will not be happy at all if he gets
well,
tagged up there in Green Bay.
they have more problems than just Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think a salary cap. Well, it doesn't make sense to have all that money up front, in my opinion,
No,
on Devontae Adams. It's like the worst contract you can have if you're in a situation where you're money strapped, is to put a franchise tag on a guy that's going to demand a ton of money. Put the franchise tag on your punter. You know what I mean? It's okay.
right.
You know what I mean? You'll be all right. But
Yeah, or just don't use it. I mean,
yeah.
it's
No,
not a
no one says you
requirement.
have
You
to.
don't have to use it. So, but yeah, I mean, they're currently sitting, I think, like 46 million over the cap.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they got some work to do. And if Rodgers decides he wants to retire in Green Bay, then he's probably going to have to work on a new contract with them.
Yeah.
And which would allow them to sign Devontae Adams, because Devontae Adams is his market value is like 25.9 million, and he's gonna want somewhere in that range, probably between 24 and 26 million a year.
Let me just ask you the question real quick. A couple questions, I guess. Antonio Brown isn't on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers anymore, right?
Right.
And Tom Brady did officially retire, correct?
That is correct.
So they would be looking for a great quarterback wide receiver combo.
Yes, I just don't know if I could see Adams going there. I just don't know if Green Bay would trade Rodgers to Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I don't.
But I guess if the money's right and everything else, I mean,
Yeah.
people trade within the conference all the time,
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot worse to trade inside your division, but
Yeah, you don't want them with the Bears or anything.
send them to Tampa. I think Green Bay is coming to a realization that they're going to be starting a rebuild here. So, and they're probably going to want to start, gathering up some draft capital and things like that. So,
Well, that's what happens when you drag out those big contracts trying to make things happen, right? Eventually
right.
it comes to a head. So
Well, and even and this is sort of along, everybody's just saying, go get Aaron Rodgers no matter what the cost is. Well, I mean, and bring Adams with him. Okay, now you're just putting yourself in just salary cap jail if you do that, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, look at the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah, they're in the Super Bowl, but guess what? Next year's not going to be fun. They're over the cap. They got some people they're going to have to start, and these guys are going to want to get paid. Usually when people win Super Bowls, players want to get paid,
Oh yeah.
and so was it really worth it for the Rams to throw away all their draft capital, to get Matt Stafford, to get Von Miller, to get Jalen Ramsey, and then they're sitting here next year and they're going to be like, well, we don't have any picks. We're already over the cap.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we going to do? So I that's one of the reasons, like, I've sort of always been anti Aaron Rodgers. I just don't want us to get into a situation where we're throwing away draft capital and we're going to pay this guy an exorbitant amount of money. That's going to, I mean, this year, yeah, it would only be 26, but he says, well, after that, he wants 50 plus million. He wants to make more than Patrick Mahomes type money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and if Denver doesn't want to pay that, then Aaron's going to say, well, I'm gone,
Yeah.
and now you lost draft picks and possible players and everyone else. And I just don't look at it as, a good situation. But we'll definitely talk about the quarterback situation more, especially once we know what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. So, but Tampa is an interesting place to watch. So, and it sounds like Godwin may be on the move out of Tampa Bay as well too,
Yeah.
and that Gronkowski may be retiring. So Tampa Bay may be going into a rebuild as well. So
Oh, how many guys they brought back all 22 starters? A lot of those guys took crazy, crazy good deals for the franchise, right? Not good deals for themselves in order to make that happen. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Tampa Bay.
thank you, Randy. We appreciate it. And we appreciate that you come and listen. Randy Young on Facebook says, I truly enjoy listening to you guys, and we appreciate it. So throw us your comments, anything else you want to talk about or anything, let us know, and we'll try to fit it in. So, all right, this next subject, it's a little touchy right now.
Yeah.
Brian Flores, the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, fired after back-to-back winning seasons, has filed a class action lawsuit against the NFL and all 30 teams. However, the Broncos, the Dolphins, and the Giants are specifically named in that lawsuit.
Correct.
I mean, he says that the Denver executives, which included John Elway and Joe Ellis, showed up an hour late to the interview, looked totally disheveled, like they didn't even want to be involved, in this interview process. And he said you could tell that these guys had been out drinking late last night, and that's probably why they were late. So the Broncos have since come out and said, no, that's not true. I mean,
they said they actually, to say they have this, to say this, I think they would have some proof. They said, no, we are actually on time for our meeting. We have, extensive notes taken by numerous staff members during this 2 to 3 hour interview process that they end up going through. You know what I mean? So they're coming pretty hard back at Brian Flores in his allegations towards the Denver Broncos and the hiring staff.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out, where it all goes. But my question to you, Keith, do you think that this may deter possible owners, knowing that Denver has this little cloud hanging over them right now where they're involved in a class action lawsuit?
I think that just seeing it kind of play out a little bit, I'm not as concerned now. When it first hit, I would have been a little bit more concerned, but you go where the attention and the focus is, and quite honestly, it's all going on Miami right now, and it's going a little bit on New England just because of Bill Belichick's mistake and sending a message to the wrong Brian.
Right.
I really need to help him out, man. I tell you.
Yeah, somebody needs to take his cell phone away because
those dang cricket phones, I tell you.
Yeah, that's the big smoking gun right there, in my opinion. I mean, some of the things he alleged in Miami, does he have proof that the owner said, "Hey, $100,000 for every game that you lose," and things like this? Does he have proof for that kind of stuff? I see his claim of, hey, why was I fired after, back-to-back winning seasons? That can raise some red flags. But
and I'll give Brian Flores this. We have Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
We have Mike Tomlin as our
100%.
lone black coach in the NFL.
I agree 100%. I am not trying to support the NFL and their minority hiring practices at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't want to dive too deep into a very touchy subject right now, especially until we find out exactly how all of this shakes out. But the New York Giants had already selected their guy, apparently, but we're going to go ahead and interview Brian Flores, and probably just to satisfy Rooney Rule requirements.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly. If not, let's face it, you call off all your interviews, but if all of a sudden there's a mandate that you have to make an interview for one reason or another, I don't even care if it's a number mandate. You have to interview 3 candidates. You know what I mean? You just go through even though you selected the free guy on day one, you're going through that process, and if it's just for a Rooney Rule, then that's an issue.
Yeah,
Obviously.
it definitely is. So, and then all of the stuff that came out with John Gruden and the Washington
Hmm.
football team and that investigation. One of these days, the good old
Oh,
boy.
wait a second. I just got to back up real quick. It's not the Washington football team. It's the
Uh,
Washington Commanders.
I refuse to call them that. They will be the Washington football team, in my opinion. I don't like the Commanders. If it would have been the Admirals, I would have went with it, being that I'm a Navy guy. But so,
All
I
right,
mean,
there you go. Then.
Commanders is a rank in the Navy as well. So I just thought it was going to be Admirals. So
There you go.
I'll eventually get used to it. So Randy Young here on Facebook has a good question. Who is the possibility for new ownership of the Broncos? So I've heard a lot of names thrown out there. Jay-Z was out there for a while. I think that's sort of cooled. Bezos is back and forth. Anyone else you've heard, Keith? I know that Peyton Manning and John Elway want to be part of ownership groups. I mean, they don't have the money themselves to control 30% of a franchise. So,
speaking along those same lines of what we just came off of, Robert Smith. That would be that would be fantastic for the state of Colorado. For you talk about just again, black coaches. How many black owners are there? That would be
would be zero.
That would be
zero. What the answer
Correct.
is. So, but Robert Smith did come out. It's either yesterday or the day before. I think it's the day before, and said he's not interested in buying the Broncos. So now, but does the NFL and can the NFL really do this and sort of tamper? But would they go to him and say, hey, we really want to bolster our minority ownership. We would really appreciate if you would maybe give this some thought again. I would love for Robert Smith, to buy the Broncos. So, but who knows? We've heard that it's going to be almost like a sealed bid type process. And it says there's up to 6 groups that may bid. And it sounds like all the estate is really worried about, because the estate's job is to maximize revenue for the Bolins.
Yeah.
Is they're just going to take the highest bid.
Correct.
And not really look into it and say, is this guy really good for the franchise? The good thing is the owners have to approve it. So
that's correct. That's correct.
So if it's just some crazy guy with billions of dollars, they may say, no, we don't want this guy. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch this Brian Flores stuff, play out over the next, couple of weeks or so.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess in my biggest opinion, he's done something that I haven't seen since Colin Kaepernick, and that's he's really put his career on the line for what he believes is right. So,
and I think he has.
And if that's truly what he believes is right, and this is the treatment that he's been kind of getting, then I stand beside him.
No, I agree. I do 100% too. Kenny from K&K Sports and I were having this conversation earlier today, and he said, well, why'd this guy do this? He's never going to coach in the NFL again. I said, this is, to him, coaching's not important anymore. Bringing to light a lot of these issues that are going on in the NFL, because if you read through that 58-page document, there's a lot more than just, hey, they didn't hire me, I mean, it goes into, we got one, like you said, one African-American head coach, out of 32. You got 6 African-American GMs, which, I mean, this is an improvement, but I mean, but when 70% of your player base is African-American, it just seems to be a little off kilter, and I think that's what Brian Flores is doing here. He's just, I don't care about coaching anymore. I want to bring this to light because, he's going to be blacklisted just like Kaepernick was, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, at least I guess he's calling something very similar out to light in the very beginning. So, it's going to be tough to ignore him, as as hiring cycles come around, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we will be back to talk about our old buddy Josh McDaniels.
Okay, don't get me
No matter
hungry.
what you're grilling, Willow seasonings has a blend perfect for the occasion. Feisty lime adds a great citrus element to seafood. It's not just for fajitas. High elevation SPG will elevate the flavor of everything you put it on. Use some sweet heat and add a little heat to your food. Sweet smoke adds a subtle smoky element to your foods. The possibilities are endless. Tag us in your creations. Order yours today at willowseasonings.com. All right, and really quick before we move on to the next one, another comment from Randy says, "Thank you guys, and whoever buys new ownership, I hope that they love our Broncos the way we fans do. Have a wonderful evening tonight. You as well, Randy. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. We truly appreciate it, and I too. I hope it's somebody that is going to value this community, and I hope it's not somebody that's going to say, you know what, we're going to move this franchise down to San Antonio or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
I think they would have a really hard time getting the NFL to approve moving the only franchise that's in the Rocky Mountain region out of Colorado. So
I agree.
So,
Randy's leaving. He saw the fantastic Willow Seasonings and Blend ad that we just played, and got too hungry, and he's leaving now, Dave.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can't blame him. I'm a little hungry myself, and that was tantalizing.
So I appreciate that. And yeah, everybody, actually, we have a sale right now, $6.50 a bottle. So head on over and grab yours at willowseasonings.com. All right, Josh is back, and you're going to be in trouble.
So that's a play to all the oldies songs. Anybody out there playing? It took me a second. I was like, "What? I'm going to be in trouble." Gotcha.
So
ain't my boyfriend.
No. So they've hired him. They also hired the Raiders. Also hired Dave Ziegler to be the general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
So Josh, I guess, won't have control like he had here in Denver and can just start destroying things and dismantling things. I mean, do you think? I
thought he was going to send Derek Carr to the Browns for a Mayfield.
Maybe, you never know. So he might convince Ziegler that, hey, let's go ahead and get rid of Derek Carr and let's bring in
Baker Mayfield. See,
or Teddy Bridgewater's on the street,
Yeah,
bring him in. So question: Josh Daniels during his press conference with the Raiders came out, and this infuriated Bronco fans. I think he admitted he wasn't ready, in 2009 to be a head coach. Which I think that's shows that he has grown and he's matured.
Yeah,
to sit up there and say I wasn't ready. Do you think we see a different Josh? Has he learned? I mean, has he grown? Has he matured? Is he going to be a better football coach? Do you think?
I'll be honest. I'm a little concerned. It was 2018. He was supposed to be the Indianapolis Colts head coach.
Right.
He was committed. This is just 4 years ago now, as we come up, and he backed out of that. If you look at just coordinators that have come out of the Belichick system, it doesn't look all that fantastic. I think he's got a lot to prove. I mean, I know that he's supposed to be this offensive mind. I know that this is supposed to show growth. But I think he still has a ton to prove. A ton to prove, I mean, second time around, buddy. Most people won't get 3, so this is right. It for him. If not, he's a college head coach at best from here on out. That's what he'll be after at the Raiders if this does not work the way obviously the way the Las Vegas wants it to.
Right. No. I agree. I mean, he does. Is he possibly just a guy that head coaching is just too big for him? We just had a guy here that it was too big for. You can be a great coordinator, and really good at that. But when you get thrown into this situation of being a head coach and trying to manage the big picture, it's difficult.
It's a lot, and now he's saying that he's gotten better at the personnel and the person side of things. There's reports that when he was with the Denver Broncos, that everyone from the front and from the secretaries to players to personnel just despise the guy. I mean, that's a big change. I don't know very many people in my life that walk into a room despised, and I don't know, 10 years later they're the most likable guy in the room. It's a big change. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we definitely will. So, I mean, he was under Mr. Personality out there, in New England. So I'm sure he picked up a lot of mannerisms.
Yeah, sometimes
from
when you're
him.
young, you try to replicate exactly what you see, and just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Especially
Right.
when there's a 30, 40-year difference between the two.
Yep. So, well, hopefully for our sake, this whole thing just blows up. I mean, we
Yeah.
don't need the Raiders to just go zooming by us, as we're trying to
No.
figure out what we're doing here. So I mean, hopefully it doesn't amount to that. So,
Yes.
all right, hey, our final segment's going to be a rapid fire, but before we get into that, let's talk some conference championship football games.
Oh wow.
I mean, we have been so entertained. I mean, the divisional round was just amazing. Every game was ended on a walk-off play, I mean, and Cincinnati does it in the first game. I mean, when they were down 18 or 21-3, what were your thoughts, Keith? Was it like it's about time to turn this game off and go shovel snow or something?
Right. When it comes to playoff football, I'll never do that. But
Right.
at the same time, I'll be honest. I was thinking about our picks. I was like, man, I picked the Chiefs. I didn't think it was going to be quite like this, but I picked the Chiefs. Here's one in the bag. Boy, was I wrong, man. Smoking Joe Burrow. I tell you what, man, this guy is something else. I know that you've been calling his name all year long. Dave's been pounding the table. He's a Joe Burrow lover. I wonder
love
if he's
Joey B.
I sometimes I wonder if you're a bigger Joey Burrow fan than you are a Broncos fan, man. I tell you, but I can understand, man. The more you watch this guy, how can you not? Ice in his veins. Just goes out there. He takes nine sacks, 15 hits.
Right.
No big deal. I'll just get up. I'll just keep throwing him.
Yep.
I
mean, and then before he goes into Arrowhead, he makes a statement. Arrowhead, the loudest stadium in the NFL. And people in Seattle will argue with you, but I think KC Arrowhead's probably louder. But this guy makes a comment before the game saying, I played in louder places. It's not going to bother me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of people take that as arrogance and cockiness, but I take that as confidence. I mean, you play in a SEC stadium where you got 100,000 plus people in there, and I think Arrowhead holds what, 60,000 maybe. It's not a huge stadium.
It's not. They built on a little bit, but 60, 70, I think you're right.
Right. I mean, but for him to just make that, you think that would just get that fan base in Kansas City so fired up, and it didn't phase him the whole game. He got down 21-3, and what's he do? He gets the ball and he drives right down there and gets a touchdown. And it's like, I'm not phased. You're not, and that's how he was that year that LSU won that championship. Is this guy? I mean, no matter what you threw at the guy, he just was not phased.
Yeah.
I mean, and this guy, he grew up a coach's son. you know. I mean, and he's borderline arrogant, but he's very confident in his abilities, you know. And I'll tell you what, Cincinnati has $60 million in cap space next year.
Wow.
I made a prediction that next year Cincinnati may be a free agent destination. You know, and if they go out and get some offensive linemen to protect this guy, watch out. I'd hate to see what he's like when he can just stand back there and start picking people apart.
Yeah.
So,
man, I tell you what, gotta love those rookie quarterbacks that pan out. I tell you what.
oh, you
second
do.
year in the league, first
Yeah.
guy, second year in the league to go to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And legitimately taking his team to the Super Bowl.
So
this isn't like a Trent Dilfer, Baltimore Ravens. We went to the Super Bowl. This is Joe Burrow.
right.
I'll put you on my back. We'll get there.
So if they win, and we'll do our picks next week, but you probably know where I'm leaning.
Yep.
If they win, Joe Burrow will be the first person in history to win a college national championship, a Heisman Trophy, and a Super Bowl championship. And this guy might do, you know, he might win it all within 3 years, you know?
Wow.
It's like
that dang injury, I could have had it in 2.
Yep. So, and
then we want to flip to the other side, right?
Yeah.
Not a bad game in the NFC.
Not a bad game at all, but
holy cow.
Dude, is Shanahan going to have a reputation of blowing games? He can't win the games. I mean, he almost lost it in Dallas in the wild card game.
Yeah.
You know, the Green Bay game, that just was a disaster, and the special teams really won that game. But and then they get up big here to the Rams, and then next thing you know, it's just he goes conservative. You know, and I've always told people I hate teams that go conservative. I understand you don't want to make a costly turnover, but I'll tell you what, if another team gets a few stops and it starts to score and starts getting it's hard to turn it back on. When you tell these pro athletes to, you know, pull it back a little bit, and then you're like, oh crap, we better turn it back.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's
hard to do.
Yeah, you see it all the time. You know, all of a sudden there's a miscellaneous, you know, breakage of play. And, you know, when that defense is getting after that quarterback and they, you know, all of a sudden there's, I don't care, a timeout or, you know, there anything, you know, that's the last thing you want. Like you said, you're in that zone, you're firing on all cylinders, you're engaged mentally, physically. All of a sudden they're like, okay, take that back. We're gonna play prevent, and then you kind of get taken out of the entire situation.
Right.
And that to reactivate that, no, it's the reason that first series of the game usually looks so terrible, but by just about any team.
Right. Yeah, and boy, how about the guy who dropped the interception?
Oh,
how long will he, as he's laying in bed every night trying to go to sleep, just keep seeing that ball bouncing off his chest? It's like,
oh my gosh,
wow. So
yeah,
the ball bounces funny. That oblong football bounces a little funny every now and then. So
yeah, he literally said he thought he'd caught it. He thought he had caught it when it hit his hands. He thought he'd caught it.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, jeez.
Got to feel bad for the guy. So I'm sure Ram fans don't feel bad for him.
No, you know, it's funny, you know, just kind of rewinding really quick. I heard a commentator say, you know, regarding the Chiefs game, whatever, you know, because there was that controversial play at the end of the first half where, you know, all of a sudden, you know, they go for a touchdown rather than going for a field goal. They run out of time. Mahomes is trying to call a timeout. It's all just all weird and chaos.
And they have no timeouts.
And they have no timeouts, and the clock's expired anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's been like 12 seconds. You had 3 seconds on the clock. It didn't make any sense. So anyway, whatever they said to him at halftime did not work. It was the wrong thing. That guy completely fell apart in the second half. He did not look the part.
I have never seen Mahomes look like that, and somebody rattled him at halftime.
And I'll tell you what, and then I saw that NFC game, and I'm looking at Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Garoppolo did not look good in that second half,
No,
especially
he
coming into the
didn't.
fourth quarter.
He
Fourth
didn't.
quarter did not do anything for
So,
Jimmy Garoppolo. So
speaking of Jimmy Garoppolo,
no.
he sounds like he's going to be on the trade market.
Mm-hmm.
Do you look that way?
No.
If you're George Payton.
I hope not. Like I said, I've never, whether it be injury or up and down sporadic play that sometimes from Jimmy G, he has the ability, he has all the intangibles to be that guy. I get it, but I just don't want it. I don't
Would
want it.
you would you take him as a 1-year bridge guy and then we could turn around, draft a rookie, and let him just play a year, let the rookie, learn, and then
rather
turn it
do it
over
with
to
Drew
the
Lock.
rookie? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I agree. I mean, with Drew Lock, you're not going to be giving up any draft capital to get a guy that you're using for just a year.
Yeah.
So
bring somebody in underneath Drew Lock. He's got enough time and experience. New system. Who knows? If not, draft somebody. And who knows? The way the draft board's looking from a lot of mock drafts, it looks like we might have the first pick, first quarterback opportunity if we want it.
So if you're sitting there and you're George Payton and you're sitting in that draft room and number 9 rolls around and you have Malik Willis, you have Kenny Pickett, you have Sam Howell, you have Carson Strong, you have Desmond Ridder, all on the board. Are you taking one?
I'm really tempted. I'll be honest, I'm gonna look at a little bit more tape. I haven't dove into to the draft class like I really like to before I put that opinion out there. But Kenny Pickett does look awfully good from what I've seen in a couple of games that I was able to take in. So
and the Senior Bowl practices and everything are going on this week, and we got the game. I believe it's Saturday night. It's the Senior Bowl.
Oh, I'll be tuned in.
Malik Willis has risen up to QB1. A lot of people are saying. So they say this guy has an arm that's off the chart. Probably the strongest arm of anybody that's down in Mobile. And his athleticism and things like that. I think he's a little raw, and that's why maybe you do. If you take him, then
you want a year.
You let him sit. Would I take Malik Willis here? I think so. With the offense that Hackett and them are going to run, I think he's a good fit for it. I think he's a better fit for it than Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett's going to be more of a pocket type quarterback, and I think running this outside zone type offense, and running some bootlegs and things like that. I think a Malik Willis or Sam Howell or Matt Corral may be a better fit for the offense. So.
Yeah, I would take and again, I need to take a deep dive, but I would take a look at Matt Corral. He has a lot of intangibles. If he looks as good in the room as he does on tape, then I'd be looking pretty hard.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me about Matt Corral, and we could talk about this more later, is his durability. I mean, he was banged up a lot, So I mean, he's a smaller guy.
Yeah.
You'd have to bulk him up for the NFL. So, all right, hey, let's play rapid fire.
All right, let's do it, man.
5 questions for you. You don't have to do yes or no. You can elaborate a little bit. We just won't do the Matt Staffiero 5,000 word answers. So
very good. Keep my essay pen down.
It took us 51 minutes into the show to take a jab at Matt.
Hey,
so
it's almost like we like the guy,
right?
Right.
All right, first question. Tom Brady retires after 22 NFL seasons and 7 Super Bowl champions. Will we ever see another career like that?
I can't see it. He has more championships than any franchise in the league. It's just amazing. You know what I mean? What an amazing career. And to be honest, maybe I think I've always been this guy. I have always wanted more. Wanted another year from Elway. Wanted another year from Peyton Manning. Tom Brady did not go out and put out a year that it looked like he should retire.
No, he didn't. I mean, he looked really good, and I was actually shocked. I thought he would come back, especially being that they fell short. I thought he would come back for one more year, but I think a lot of it was, family. and he has some other business ventures that he wants to But I was listening to Sandy Clough, who's a talk show host here,
Okay.
and he said he's reading a book about the New England Patriots, and there's one section in there, and it talks about it was probably about 4 years ago, maybe, where Brady's wife Giselle pretty much wrote him a letter and said, you know what, it is time to come home to your family. So, and he got a little bit more time out of it. So I think he just realized that, you know what, my kids are getting older. My kids are getting to their teen years.
Yeah.
It's important that I be around now. So a
Yeah.
lot more and a lot more involved. So, I mean, gonna miss him. I mean, as much as we despised him, you have to respect everything that
Oh,
that
my
man
goodness.
did on the field. So, and if you don't, then you just need to take the glasses off that you're wearing and break them, because I mean, we just witnessed greatness with that man. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I got a quick question just on this real quick, and this is going to be your yes or no.
okay.
Would you have taken Tom Brady for the 2 years he was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a Denver
yes.
Bronco?
With that, yeah. He was a free agent.
Yeah, I know. He was a free agent.
It was sort of the Manning situation again. A free agent. You're not going out, you're not spending capital, and you're not trading players. And
yeah.
I would have been all over. But
if
John
it would have felt really
John
weird.
Elway's not going to bring that guy in here.
It just would have felt really weird having, just 2 years and 1 Super Bowl with Tom Brady right in the middle of, Denver Broncos history and lore, and it feels awkward. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't feel so awkward for the Buccaneers, but for the Broncos, it'd be no different if you went to the Steelers and won a Super Bowl. I'd be like, really?
But now hindsight, the way we've handled the whole situation, with quarterback, I would have done it. I mean, because we didn't make any progress the last 2 years.
Well said. Okay, very good.
All right. Since the hiring of Coach Hackett, Melvin Gordon has taken the Twitter campaigning to stay in Denver. Do you want him back, or would you take him back?
Oh, I'd take him back.
What's your price tag?
I don't know. 6.8.
6.8. You'd take him back, and
I'd take him back at 6.8.
I think he's in the, if he comes back at the $4 to $6 million range. I think this has to be Javante's team going forward, don't you think? He has to be the man. But now, here's my concern. I mean, does this offense fit Javante's running style? Does Javante have that vision? Does Javante have that cutback ability? Because we saw him a lot of times, he just runs through the home, runs people over. And if we're going to run this outside zone, does he have the discipline and stuff to really, follow the blocks and wait until that opening opens up before, and not.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. So maybe someone like a Gordon may be a good guy just to keep around, just in case of emergency break glass.
Again, I don't see very many 1-back systems out there.
I don't.
There's to be a 2-back system. I just think he has value. I think honestly, if you're trying to sign him at $4 million, he's walking. He can walk onto any team and probably get a $4 million contract. So it would have to be, a lot of incentives out in front of him on top of
that. I think it'd have to be an incentive laden contract. If you say, hey, we're going to give you a base salary of $4 million, or let's just say 5 for this sake, $5 million, but we're going to load it up with these incentives, then he may say, yeah, I'll do that. So, but you have to make them attainable incentives,
On the other side of things, kind of going back to what you're saying with Javonte Williams and there not being a whole lot of QB1, or an RB1 systems, or just a single running back systems. Paul Hackett. I'm going to do that. I know I'm going to do that.
Hey, just again. Just don't call him Buddy Hackett.
There you go. Come in with a little bit of banjo. Anyway, with Nathaniel Hackett, he Jacksonville Jaguars, Blake Bortles, Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
when it comes to when it's like, hey, I don't know if Kenny Pickett fits the style. Kenny Pickett and Javonte Williams looks a lot like Leonard Fournette and Blake Bortles, at least from a starting point.
That is true. Be interesting to watch. Rapid fire number 3. Broncos officially put up for sale. Is this the final piece in returning this team to the glory days?
I mean, if they hit this out of the park, right? It would be so beautiful. I mean, like we said, we've come to terms with our our head coach
Right.
pick. You know what I mean? We both wanted offensive minded guys. So we got that, and it looks like this guy is a motivator of men and a leader of men, and has certainly been around some great schemes and done some great things. So I'm on board there.
Yeah.
We got 2 pieces left. Obviously, we got to figure out what that quarterback looks like, and we got to look at what that ownership. But if they get ownership in a really good position, as our friend Mr. Young said a little bit earlier, I want somebody that loves the Broncos as much as the fans. If we get someone like that, then absolutely, this is huge. This is huge.
And I think it is going to be, like you said, if we get the right guy, this is that accountability that this organization has been missing.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a huge step in returning this organization to where it was. All right, rapid fire number 4. Will you watch the Pro Bowl game this Sunday?
Oh boy, let me check what the weather looks like. Can I holler down to my wife and see if she has anything going on?
Right. Hey, is anything going on Sunday? You need me to help you?
Yeah.
Do some knitting or something like that. I'd like to learn how to crochet.
Right. Need a good scarf. It's been so tough to watch the Pro Bowl for years. I'll be honest, I haven't taken it in. I am a little bit interested in the skills competition.
Right.
That's always kind of cool. But I mean, let's face it, the Pro Bowl is just pitch and catch, and everyone saying hello to each other on the field. And then, I really wish they would have taken, if they weren't going to do it in Honolulu, Hawaii every single year, pick some really cool destination ideas and thoughts. I don't care. Go to Japan, or go to South America, or you know what I mean.
Right.
I mean, really, really make this someplace where these guys are wanting to get on board and sign up. But if you're just going to go to Florida, I mean, these guys can book a ticket for Florida any week.
We play in Florida every year. Why do we want to go now?
Yeah, exactly. I just got beat there last week. I don't want to go there.
Right.
So unfortunately, I probably won't be tuning in. It might come on for a second. I won't say I won't catch a minute, but I'm certainly not making it a plan. So how about you, Dave?
I cannot remember the last time that I watched a Pro Bowl, to be honest. I do not remember. And people say, well, you got Bronco players. I don't care. Yeah. And this year we don't have any. I mean, what we get one guy that's maybe like a third string guy or something, a third selection. I don't know. I don't find it entertaining.
Yeah.
And it's not even a game that I would have on for background noise. Yeah. I would rather spend Saturday, watching the Reese's Senior Bowl.
Oh, absolutely.
Than
100%.
Than watching a Pro Bowl game.
No, I think they just need to practice on a skills competition. Change it up. I don't care. Do 5-on-5 flag football.
Right.
You know what I mean? Do something fun
or something. Yeah.
Just do something. Do something different, because obviously, because of how violent the sport is, it's nothing that can actually be played out or wants to be played out in its true sense.
Right. So, all right, last one.
Oh boy, it's a long broadcast.
Excuse me, man. Gee whiz. This Bronco talk is boring me.
Oh, wow.
Just kidding.
I think it's a day of hooky. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, taking that day off of work, and now I'm just like, now I have to get motivated to go back to work tomorrow. But tomorrow's my Friday, so
you can tell it's a day of hooky when he talks about the 50-some page report from document from Brian Flores. I'm sure he read all 5 pages of the Instagram Tom Brady as well. I haven't even got to that one yet. So,
all right, last rapid fire.
Okay.
What is the most important coordinator hire for the Broncos in your opinion? Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or special teams? Or should we just run it back with Tom McMahon?
Oh, gosh. Oh, goodness, no. Supposedly maybe a Rams special teams hire as well. So, boy. I love where the defense is at, but, you know, again, I'm going to say that offensive coordinator position is going to be key for us.
See, and I'm going to go defensive coordinator because Hackett's going to run the offense, you know.
Yeah.
So
I just don't want it to be too big for him. You know what I mean? I don't want it
to. And I don't want it to be either. I don't want us to lose what we have on defense either because our defense kept us in a lot of games, you know, and gave us opportunities to win them. So
I guess given the candidates that we kind of see in place, especially when special teams, we can only get better. I don't care who we hire. Again, hire Dave, hire Matt, hire me. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out.
Green Bay fired their special teams coordinator. Maybe we can get him after that fiasco in the playoff game against San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's better still. I don't know. I hate to say it, but we still might be better off.
That was just one game, not 3 years of this.
Correct. So. I guess knowing the guys that we want to have in place, or it sounds like are going to be all in place, whether they're hired or eventually going to be hired, I look at that defensive coordinator position. It seems like we're filling that with a guy who's tenured and should be able to handle that. And by default, Nathaniel Hackett should be giving that defense to that defensive coordinator. If he's going to be an offensive coordinator and a head coach, that might be too much for a guy in his first time being a head coach. We've kind of talked about that before. So I think that offensive coordinator needs to be kind of on point. He needs to be that a big support for Nathaniel Hackett if this is going to work. If not, it's going to be too big of a job because he's going to be trying to juggle 2 things as a rookie head coach. I want this to go right.
Oh, I definitely do too. So, all right, everybody, that wraps it up for tonight's show. We'll be back next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we have our Super Bowl picks. Ooh. And then Saturday, we have our Super Bowl pregame show. So don't forget about that. So, and then until then, you know, please follow us, like, subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all those things out there. You know, you can get a hold of us at our Twitter accounts. They're listed down here. And or just come over and have some conversation with us on the Rocky Mountain Sports Report or Sports Network. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Rocky Mountain Sports Network Facebook group. So we're always willing to talk about things over there, and it doesn't have to be just Broncos, doesn't have to be just football. We'll talk about hockey and baseball and
gets a little lively on there sometimes.
Yeah, it does sometimes. So I wish these people could sometimes see our group chats that we have.
Oh boy,
because some of them do get pretty heated at times.
Yeah, that's almost like one of those Washington Commanders investigations, though. You know what I mean? We don't want
right.
that. You know
yeah, we don't need that getting out into the public.
Okay, maybe not that bad. But it does get a little interesting. So
yeah. So
all right, come get interesting with us. Join us any place, anytime.
So, all right, Keith. Hey, you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Enjoy the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I'll be.
We're expecting a full report on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, you'll get it. 58-63 victory.
So, all right, everybody, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next Wednesday.